Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montevilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Pfaff Quilt Ambition 630. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make buttonholes with this machine. Now, this is the foot you want to use. It has a place to put your button right there, so you hang on down here, pull up on these little things, put your button right in there. This is the button that you would be using in your garment. So this is going to give you the correct size of buttonhole. Now on the back of the foot, you can see these little grippy teeth. That helps grip that top layer, keeps everything nice and even. Right here, you have the two channels for the two sides of the buttonhole. So the buttonhole we're going to make is going to be similar to this one here. See how it's got two dense zigzag, rows of zigzag on either side of the buttonhole. Now, you can also make a lot of these other buttonholes on this machine. You have several options, but my favorite is this square end buttonhole. It just is all-purpose. Now, when you make buttonholes, generally speaking, you're going to want to use the same color of thread as fabric, but I'm showing you with a contrast thread so that you can see what's going on. Okay, so first thing we want to do is find buttonholes. So we go right here, press that, and it gives you all your different stitches. Down here you can see buttonholes are in that group right there. So press that, and I need to come ahead a little bit until I find buttonholes. There they are. They're all right there. I'm going to choose 33 right there. Okay. Now, let's take the foot off of there. Put this foot on here, and when you put this on, make sure that the needle has some place to go. See, right there. It is possible to put it on backwards, but as long as you have the button that you've put into your foot in the back there, you know you got it correct. So then we need to pull down this buttonhole lever back here. Now that has a picture of a buttonhole on it, so you know that that's the right one. Also, that lever tells the machine when to stop stitching backward, do its bar tack, and stitch the other direction. So that's what the importance of that lever is right there. Okay, so on your screen you can see we're using a single needle. That's the needle that you normally use as opposed to a wing needle or double needle. Single needle, and a foot number 5. That's what this, it has a 5 on it. You can't see it right now, but that's foot number 5. It says to use interfacing. So most of the time in garments you'll find there's a little stiffness around that buttonhole. That's important. You don't want to have just 1 or 2 layers of fabric, because that's not quite enough to support the stitches that are real close together. So interfacing can be something like this. You've probably seen it before. And you would put that between your 2 layers of fabric and gives it a nice, strong support to your buttonhole. Another way to do, and I've done this a lot with buttonholes, another way is to just take 3 layers of your fabric. So this would be like the buttonholes on the front placket of the blouse, like that. And then, of course, you want to take it over to your iron and press it really good. Okay, so to mark our buttonhole, you only need 2 marks. You need the mark that goes up and down the center, and then you need to have your beginning mark right there. The buttonhole maker, the foot, and the lever back here will know how long to make that according to the length of the button right there. Now, this buttonhole foot does not have a little slit in the side for putting your thread through, so I've found an easy way to do that. Just take 1 stitch like that, pull your thread out to the side, and that pulls the thread right through. And now it's in there where it needs to go. Alrighty, let's get this lined up again. Put this down here like that. Now, I want to line up, remember I talked about those 2 channels in the buttonhole foot. The center of that has a little dip of plastic, and you want to line that with your long longitudinal line, and then you want to be able to see that little bar tack under there. That's how you know where to line up your fabric with the foot. Also make sure on the side here that this is parallel to the edge of the fabric. Everything can be lined up there, but if you have things a little cockeyed, your buttonhole's going to be cockeyed too. So that's the last thing you should check, right there. Okay, so I've got that down there. Everything's set the way it should be. The stitch density is, this is how you can change the stitch density. This is not going to change the length of your buttonhole. That's what you would do back here by using a larger or smaller button, but it can make it denser or less dense depending on your fabric. Always stitch out a sample of your buttonhole on your fabric, on your the kind of fabric that you're going to be using. That way, if you need to make any adjustments, you can do that. Okay, so when you're sewing a buttonhole, or even when you're just starting to sew at all, just kind of keep hold of those tails of thread for the first couple of stitches. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit there. Okay, now notice when it's going, I'm kind of going slow here. You can see it's kind of just marching back there. And then it starts coming forward with that zigzag. The reason it does that is so that way the zigzag is going to be the same on both halves of the buttonhole because it's zigzagging this in the same direction. So it goes back here, makes a nice little bar tack, comes forward, and then it's going to go to the end of that buttonhole. Don't even have to hold those tails. And then it makes a nice bar tack at the end and a locking stitch. See how it's stitching in place. And I actually cut the threads for you. You didn't have to cut them yourself, which is a nice built-in feature. So if I wanted to make another buttonhole that way, all I'd have to do is put that in here, mark it where I want to start right there. And you see how I put my marks so that they would be covered up by the stitching. So because it did a locking stitch at the end, I don't need to knot those threads. They've already been knotted by the machine. So I can just cut off my beginning threads and my ending threads. Then we need to take our seam ripper that's in our accessory bag here, or in your box if you've already put them in there. Now, it's a good idea when you're cutting the buttonhole is to put a pin at the end of the buttonhole like this, so that it kind of guards the end of the buttonhole so you don't accidentally slice through your nice bar tack that you've got there. So start at the end of the buttonhole, gently guide that through there, and then I don't like to dull up my seam ripper on the pin, so I just turn it over and then start from the other end and go towards the center. And there we go, we cut our buttonhole. Okay, then I like to clean up my buttonhole, any little loops of thread like that. Let me get those out of there because the button could, in the process of you buttoning your button through the buttonhole, it could possibly get stuck on that, and that would cause pulls in your fabric, and you don't want to have that. You want to have a nice, clean, beautiful buttonhole, and this is how you can do that. Alrighty, so I'm going to just take that button out of there, like that, and try it out through my buttonhole. Hey, it works great. Okay, so this is how you do your regular, standard, square-ended buttonhole. You can do a rounded-ended buttonhole like I showed you over here. And that would be for your finer fabrics where you want to make sure you catch all those threads of your fine fabric in there really well. You can do a keyhole buttonhole. I'm going to get into that so you can see right here. There's your keyhole buttonhole. There's a couple different styles of that. That would be good for your type of buttons that have a shank on the bottom instead of holes like this, where it needs a little extra room in the end of the buttonhole to fit. Think jeans buttons, similar to that. And then you've got other decorative buttonholes that you can do that look like, okay, that's a finer buttonhole right there. Let's go back. Okay, this one here. Okay, this one's a good one for doing buttonholes on sweaters where you have a sweater knit. That's similar to this here. That will help catch those yarns a little bit better and, again, prevent fraying, but also give a little bit of a give to that buttonhole. Okay, so that's basic buttonholes on your Pfaff 630. If this video was helpful to you, give give us a thumbs up. And if you have comments or questions, you can leave those in the area down below. We have lots of other videos on this machine and on other machines here on our Montevilla YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.